All right, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, for teaching us his truth. Citations to the sincere Akim and Aquath. And listen, may the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another quick and Lord's will as always an edifying lesson. And for today's lesson, I just wanted to go through a little bit of history and some prophecy, and then hopefully, as always, this lesson will be edifying, right? So the title I have it here, it says money for faith and debt. And after camp, the elder and I were talking about the money, and things are becoming a lot more expensive, and that's what we see in this society. And people believe that essentially their money is has an intrinsic value, and essentially it doesn't, right? We're living in a society where the money is not backed by something of substance. It's not backed by any precious metals. It's not backed by anything that actually holds some essentially some inherent value. So what I want to do real quick, I just wanted to bring out this quick excerpt in this book I have here, and then and then just flow through, and then as always I pray and sincerely hope that this lesson will be edifying. All right, so let's excuse the noise in the background, right? Okay, so this is page 57 in this book here I have. It's called $1 Trillion Conspiracy by Jim Mars. It says, above all, money was a function of faith. It required implicit and universal social consent that was indeed mysterious. To create money and use it, one must believe, and everyone must believe. Only then did less pieces of paper take value. Money today is increasingly mere electronic blips on a computer accessed by plastic cards at ATMs. There is nothing backing it up. As money is loaned at interest by great institutions, its worth decreases, and more and more of it comes into existence. This is called inflation, which in some ways is a built-in tax on the use of money. So a lot of our people today don't actually understand, that money's supposed to have an inherent and substantial value, and a lot of these people don't know that, right? Here and there you might, what I've been noticing as well is that a lot of people, like this is a channel I watch called Redacted, and then sometimes people would come in and talk about investing in gold and silver and something like that. These things have, yes, value, but it's not gonna profit you anything, for essentially times to come, right? So say for example, an Israelite, he decides to go invest in gold and go invest in silver or whatever it is, then what is it you do with that? Now you just become a target. The scriptures say that riches profit not in a day of wrath, but righteousness can deliver from death, right? So, people don't seem to, it's one thing to actually have the physical gold and the silver. It's another thing to actually have it and apply the knowledge of the scriptures, apply Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, with that, with that gold, with that silver. What do you do with it? Because you can't just let it there and let it sit and just admire it, but that's what a lot of people do, because they don't have, it tells you what they're actually lacking. Their riches are already outside, but their riches are not on the inside, right? So, a good example of that is King Solomon, right? King Solomon had the opposite. When he prayed for the wisdom, and then when he began to build the house of the Lord, he was actually able to delegate, okay, this is what I want to use the gold for inside of the house. This is what I want to use the cedar for inside of the house. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, before I ramble on, it says, the result of this whole system is a massive debt at entry level of society today, wrote author William Bramley. It says the banks are in debt to the depositors. Depositors' money is loaned out and creates indebtedness to the banks, making this system even more akin to something out of a maniac's delirium. It's in fact that banks, like other lenders, often have the right to seize physical property if the paper money is not repaid. So depositors, like folks like you and I, go put our money in the bank, and then our money is essentially loaned out, right? So it might show that you have $1,000 or $2,000 in the bank, but they take percentage of that and they loan it out. So somebody comes into the bank, and say if that person wants a loan for $1,500, right? Then that that portion of your money gets loaned out essentially, right? So this is what's happening, and then the money's not backed by anything, right? So let me get a couple scriptures. This is Proverbs 11 verse 1, and it says, "A false balance is an abomination unto the Lord, but a just weight is his delight." Right? So this is what happens in this society, when we have a society it's the dollar is not actually backed by anything. So what Esau is doing, he's essentially becoming like a madman, and now just printing excess of money, and that's driving up the cost of everything. And you just have all this, money, all this paper money just circulating, and now it's losing, its value. It's not something that's actually grounded and stable. It's unjust. It's unbalanced, right? And the Lord is a balanced power. That's why it's an abomination, right? So, okay, let me jump to. Let's bear with me on this. Let's get a little bit of history. Just bear with me on this. Okay, this is Zechariah chapter 9, verse 3, and it says, "And Tyre built herself a stronghold, and heaped up heaped up silver as the dust, and fine gold as the mire of the streets. Behold, the Lord Yahweh will cast her out, and smite her power in the sea, and she shall be devoured with fire." Right? So let's go back to the third verse where it says, "Tyrus hath built herself a stronghold," right, "and heaped up gold and silver." So this is prophetically, this refers to America, right? And one of the key things here you'll notice why this refers to America is it says, "shall be devoured as fire." So when we go through the history, ancient Tyrus or Tyre, this was an ancient merchant city, by the way. So this was a merchant city where you had a lot of commerce going on, right? And it wasn't devoured by fire. It wasn't destroyed by fire. It was actually destroyed, but essentially taken over by what's it called? Alexander the Great. So, hold on. Just mind the noise in the background. So, okay. So what I want to do, I'm just going to read a little bit about Tyre in the Bible dictionary, the Zondervan. So it says Tyre or Tyrus. It says Phoenician port of Zidon and north of Carmel, founded by Zidon, assigned to Asher, right? So the tribe of Asher, if you look at a map, during the time where the tribes actually were allocated their different portions of land, Asher was like right at the top, and then you will see, if you type in on Google, for example, 12 tribes, portions of land during the time of Joshua, right? And then you'll see where Tyre actually is, right? And it's right like just a little bit north or just a little bit within the tribe, right? So it says, "But never occupied, first built on mainland, but later on a nearby alliance with its kings, a powerful merchant city, famous especially for dyes, glassware, and metal works," right? So it says, Okay, that's pretty much it that I wanted to get here. It says, yeah, so essentially it was a merchant city, right? So, and what actually happened to um, Tyre in this time? So, just to get a little bit of history on that, just have my laptop in front of me, so just bear with me on this. So, okay, so if you look up the siege of Tyre, which took place from January to July of 332 BC during the wars of Alexander the Great, so 335 to 323 BC. So this is the siege of Tyre. I'm just going to read a little bit of it just for edification because it wasn't destroyed by fire, right? So it says, having defeated the Persians at Granicus and Issus, Alexander the Great swept south of the Mediterranean coast with the ultimate goal of moving against Egypt. Excuse me. Pressing on, his ultimate goal was to take the key port of Tyre, a Phoenician city. Tyre was situated on an island approximately half a mile from the mainland and was heavily fortified. Approaching Tyre, Alexander attempted to gain access by requesting permission to make a sacrifice in the city of the temple Melkart or Hercules. It says this was refused by the Tyrrhenians, um, declared themselves neutral in Alexander's conflict with the Persians, right? Um, so let me just jump down. Just for the sake of time, I just want to kind of condense it. I don't want to get too much deep into it, but I'll just leave keywords in the description so you could, do the research as well. So it says, aftermath from the siege of Tyre. As with most battles from this period, casualties are not known with any certainty. It is estimated that Alexander lost about 400 men during the siege, while 6,000 to 8,000 men were killed of the Tyrrhenians, and other 300,000 sold into enslavement. As a symbol of his victory, Alexander ordered a mold to be completed on one of his largest catapults placed in front of the temple Hercules, and the city was taken. With the city taken, Alexander moved south and was forced to lay siege to Gaza. Again, a winning victory, he marched in Egypt, where he was welcomed and proclaimed pharaoh. Right. So, what I will do, I'll just link a description and something to research because it wasn't actually destroyed by fire. Right. So prophetically, this Tyre is speaking about America. Now, what I also want to read is something called the Bretton Woods system, right? Where it talks about, so back in this precept here, where it talks about the heaping up of silver as dust and fine gold as mire in the streets. Now, how did America do that? It was through a system known as the Bretton Woods system. So I want to read a little bit about this as well here, right? So the Bretton Woods system, an agreement was negotiated in July 1944 by delegates from 44 countries at the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference held in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. It says, under the Bretton Woods system, gold was the basis for the US dollar, right? So essentially they had a physical backing for it, right? And other currencies were pegged to the US dollar's value. The Bretton Woods system effectively came to an end in the early 1970s when President, Richard Nixon announced that the US would no longer exchange gold for US currency. So what he did, he ended its convertibility, right? And I believe I don't know if it was after or before, France was involved in that, and France essentially they sent like a battleship, and they wanted their gold back, right? So this is why, America's judgment is going to be so severe, right? And this is why a lot of these other nations, especially their own allies, are going to turn on America because of these particular things. When you read about Revelation 16, the 10 horns shall hate the whore. A lot of these European nations, this is why they have a lot of distaste for America, right? So, yeah, I don't want to get too deep into all this. I'm kind of just trying to, show you that this is prophetically speaking of America, right? When you know the history of ancient Tyre, it wasn't destroyed by fire, and now you know that America heaped up a lot of essential gold, heaped up a lot of gold, physical gold, and then they stopped the convertibility. So now essentially these countries that actually were enjoined and joined onto America, they have all these essential papal dollars now, right? So imagine, if you were one of those countries, for example, and your friend America says to you, yeah, I'm not accepting gold anymore. I'm not accepting, you can't get back your gold anymore. You're going to be kind of pissed, right? Because you have all these paper dollars and you don't know what to do with them. And so you kind of get the short end of the stick, So this is why a lot of these countries, like, even their own allies, want to turn on America, right? So I'll read verse 4 again. It says, and the Lord Yahweh will cast her out and will smite her in the sea and should be devoured by fire, right? So that's America's judgment. That's the judgment of a whore, right? So, let me get, second. Where is it? Here we go. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon 6, verse 21, and it says, if your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore, right? So, and one of the reasons I wanted to read this is because the mentality of, of our people's mindset towards money. Now, we touched on a little bit this yesterday during the High Holy Day. Still is the High Holy Day, but the point really is that, our people's mindset towards money it kind of encapsulates their entire salvation. And, they invest in all these different things of folly. They invest in, their mind is in, for example, like generational wealth. That's something I used to hear very common. They're talking about generational wealth and passing on your wealth, to their children and to their children's children and so on and so forth, right? But our people's mindset is not actually trying to acquire wisdom, because the scriptures also talk about how wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all that getting, get understanding. Now, what our people lack is one, the wisdom, a fear of the Lord, and then two, they don't actually understand that money is just a defense, right? It's not something that you just acquire. Yeah, yes, we acquire it, we use it for the things that we need to do. We can even use it to actually reap spiritual riches as well. So the Lord can remember us in times of trouble. When we get cut off from society, essentially we can't go to the grocery store anymore and stuff like that. The Lord can remember us in these particular times, right? And that's something our people don't think about. They don't actually think about, that there's more to life than money, essentially, perfect paraphrasing. Yahushua said, as a matter of fact, let me get it, hold on. I'm gonna mess it up. Let's get is that Luke 12? Luke 12 verse 15, and it says, and he said unto them, Yahushua speaking, take heed and beware of covetousness, For a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of things which he possesseth, right? So, our lives are not essentially defined by the nice, so-called nice things that we have, so to speak. Might have a house or a car or whatever. That doesn't encapsulate our entire lives. But Jake's mindset is more about trying to acquire all these different things, and all these things, it's all vanity anyway. It's just a means to an end, right? I was listening to one of the brothers in England, and he made a good point that Jake, essentially our people, they have a bankruptcy in the spirit. As a matter of fact, let me just look up that word real quick. Hold on. Let me just go to the etymology online. Bankruptcy. Okay, let me go to the word bankrupt. 1 second. So it says broken, defeated, interrupted. It says to break, custom of breaking the bench of bankrupts. It says in a state of one unable to pay just debts or meet obligations. So it literally means, so from Italian it means bancarota, which means broken bench. So from banca, it means moneylender's shop, literally bench. So it's so, and essentially, when you think about it, their spirits are broken. What is it? It says in Isaiah, why be stricken anymore? The whole head is sick. They don't have essentially a sound mind to be able to maneuver. They realize that there's a hole in their spirit, right? And they're really missing, and they don't have the understanding of who they are as a people, right? So, that was just one of the points. I just wanted to read really quickly, because it shows the mentality of our people, and they don't have riches in their spirit. They have a bunch of riches, and they're just like, okay, now what? Let me get Ecclesiastes 2. So this is Ecclesiastes 2:1, and it says, and I said to myself, come on, let's try pleasure. Let's look for the good things in life. But I found this too was meaningless. I said, laughter is silly. What good does it do to seek pleasure? After much thought, I decided to cheer myself with wine. Excuse me. And while still seeking wisdom, I clutched at foolishness. In this way, I tried to experience the only happiness most people find during a brief life in this world. I tried to find meaning by building huge homes, right? And as a matter of fact, let me make my point. For myself, and planting beautiful vineyards, right? And this is what a lot of they think that is finding meaning. They think their finding meaning is to do these things. Is to, okay, let me go build my house. Let me go, let me go start my rap career and make millions of dollars. Let me go to the NFL. Let me go to the league and play sports. And when they get to the apex of these things, then they realize, oh man, they still have that hole inside, because they don't have an understanding of who they are as a people. They're sheep still gone astray, still wandering in a wilderness, right? And they think all these carnal things, they're using carnal things to fill a hole that is spiritual, and you can't do that. You got to fill the spirit to actually funnel to push into your that hole that's missing, to fill up your spirit, so to speak, right? You have to do spiritual things to fill up your spirit, right? Not use carnal things to fill up the spirit, because it doesn't, it's not gonna work, right? Verse 5, and it says, I made gardens and parks, filling them with all kinds of fruit trees. I built reservoirs to collect water, to irrigate my many flourishing groves. Right, so it's just describing the lavish lifestyle that also comes with, you know, having lots of abundance, having lots of things, right? And he came to the conclusion the only duty that you Israelites have and need is to just serve the Lord and fear his commandments. That is the whole duty of man, right? So I guess one more point I just wanted to make as well in regards to the generational wealth. You can have an individual and acquire lots of wealth and money and status and, you know, all these different things, and you can have children that are just whole ass niggas. Let's just be honest, right? You know, because scriptures talk about training up a child in the way that they should go, and you know, when they're old, they don't depart from it. They don't depart from the understanding of who they are, right? So that's why wisdom truly and firstly is the principal thing. It's not about the money. The money comes after the fact. You know, what you do with it, you know, can determine whether it's essentially like kind of like evil unto you or good to you, right? Because you can use it, you know, to, you know, for alms, for example, to be able to essentially protect you from times of death, and you have spirits creative inventions to come out here, and then people are, you know, losing their minds and so on and so forth, right? That can be a hedge of protection for you during times of Jacob's trouble, right? So anyways, I guess I'll, as a matter of fact, let me close off with this last precept. I didn't want to make this an alms lesson, but this is the disconnect that Jake has. Colossians 3 verse 16, excuse me. It says in the NLT, let the message of about Hamashiach Yahushai in all its richness fill your lives. Teach and counsel each other with all the wisdom he gives, sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs to the Most High Yahweh with thankful hearts, right? So this is what we do when we congregate and we go out on the highways and byways, and we like the scriptures talk about being continual with a godly man, and you know, we congregate with people who are according and who are likened unto our minds, right? You know, because you know that's the point. Because in these times, you know, you can't. That's what fills us up in the spirit, right? That's what keeps the fire going. That's what keeps the fire kindled, right? You know, being amongst your brethren, right? So, anyways, I've rambled long enough, but you know, I sincerely pray and hope that this lesson was edifying. I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem Havushai, Bashem Makakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders who are millstone for teaching us his truth. Till next time, I say Shalom.